welcome to Gotta Run with Will. This is your host, Josh Pesin. Tonight's very special guest is a living legend known throughout Staten Island's running community. With a running track record of over 80 years, this runner, athlete, coach, motivational speaker, and cancer survivor is still going strong. Now at 90 years old, he is still completing 5K races and has become a guiding light to Staten Island's running youth. As a track coach, he has inspired thousands of runners. It is my pleasure to introduce to you my special guest, Mr. Bill Welsh.
Thank you very much, Josh. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. We're on the program called Run with Will. Thank you.
You're welcome. Please tell us about your upbringing, where you were born.
I was born on Staten Island, lived in Tompkinsville, and I grew up in Sunnyside. Nice name for a town. I lived approximately a half mile from Augustinian Academy, which was right alongside of Wagner College. I wound up walking to school because there were no buses that went up to Wagner College. And so I wound up walking to and from school. And along the way, I started to run, partially because I had pneumonia, and the doctors said, among other things, don't smoke, and walking would be good for me.
Right.
I took it a step further and started running, and found out that running was a sport.
I see. How old were you at that time?
Well, first case of pneumonia, I was 10 years old, and I was advised that when I hit high school, freshman year would be okay, but that sophomore year, I would be pressured into smoking. Doctor was right, and I listened to his advice. Both parents smoked because at the time, cigarettes had pictures of baseball heroes and others. And if you remember, even colleges had heroes that came to the schools and gave out packages with 3 cigarettes in them. Wow. So it was commonplace for people to smoke. I graduated high school in '47, but I won my first Island Championship cross country 1946, and I ran college from 47 through 51.
So how many years were you competing in track, would you say?
Oh, track right up until this past year, from 1946.
Wow.
That's a pretty long career.
Yeah, and let's go to your coaching career. What made you start coaching track?
Simply because they didn't have a team at Augustinian. We had what they called a moderator, and I was the coach. And I got 6 fellas and myself to go to the Island Championship, which the Kiwanis was kind enough to sponsor. So that was about it.
I see. Tell me about the running scene, like in the 50s and 60s. How was running at that time?
I fought in the first Island Championship for cross country. I wrote a letter to the Public School Athletic League and the Catholic High School League saying we would follow their rules. And I wrote to the coaches of each school, including Mount Loretta, which had some high school students, inviting them all to a date on Clove Lakes. And I asked the Kiwanis to provide officials following those rules, and got a letter back saying it was okay. And that was 1954 for the first All-Island Championship.
I see.
This is unusual. Catholic schools and public schools. No other borough has such a a routine, and it is routine now.
Yeah, I see. Did you ever witness discrimination during your running career in any form?
Not really. There was one student who I thought might have, and he was from the Bahamas, and it was funny that he felt that he was privileged by being from the Bahamas and was not your average Brooklyn black, and used the derogatory end term.
Yeah.
I don't use it, but he did.
I see.
I was taken off guard by that.
I see. Since you've had a running career of basically 80 years, how has training changed over the years?
Oh, it changed tremendously.
Tell us more about that.
One of the men, Emil Zatopek, was so far advanced in comparison. When I was a kid, you went out for a long run and you rested. And it was unheard of to do anything like 2 a day.
Yeah.
But that soon changed. And fellas that lived in the mountains, like Kenya and Ethiopia, came out and they'd run in the morning and they'd run again in the afternoon, and they had the altitude to run at. Prior to that, it was just the Finns who ran in the wintertime, and they developed. But that all changed when the mountain boys came along and showed us what it was. So I've witnessed it. I've had kids run 20 times or 400, and we had to change it to 2 a day workouts to try and compete.
I see. What is your favorite race distance?
I would say a 15-kilometer. I was fairly good at it.
15K, that's 9.3 miles, I think?
9.3, yeah.
Yeah. When was the last time you did that?
4 or 5 years ago.
Wow, when you were a ripe young age of 85, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Wow. Have any of the athletes you trained as a coach, have they ever made it to the Olympics?
Yes. Bill Jankunas in high school jumped over 7 feet for me and jumped 7.5 3/4 in the Olympic trials and beat the world record holder, Dwight Stones.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we didn't have a pit, so a student of mine left the pits out open at the local Catholic high school. We were able to borrow those pits, go to that high school after 5 o'clock and practice. And so we had one day where we had an amazing workout where Billy Jankunas jumped 10 jumps over 7 feet. My heart was in my throat. I said to him, I've never coached a world record holder, but I'm looking at one now.
What Olympics was that? Which year?
76 Olympics.
76.
And it rained, and they wouldn't let them put markers down for their jumps. And they both got beaten by a man from Poland. And the next week in Philadelphia, both of them beat the Polish jumper. And just one of those things.
You must have felt so proud coaching an Olympic athlete.
It was. And he, to this day, thanks me for what we went through.
5 years ago, when you were, I think, 85, you were featured in a documentary, right? 10 gold medals.
Yes.
On an island, known as Forgotten, lives an uncommon man named Bill. He's 85 years old, but to Bill, age is just a state of mind.
Hit me in the jaw. Any of you guys ever have a hernia operation?
He's a legendary coach of an Olympian and a 4-minute miler.
God wanted me to be a coach.
And now it's his turn to get in the game.
Why am I still doing it? Friendship, competitiveness, and an award.
And what else, Bill? What makes you run?
Now we're getting to the naked truth. And I am fighting a battle. And every morning I wake up thanking God.
Now Bill is taking on his greatest challenge yet. To go for gold in 10 different events in one single track meet.
I hope to come home wearing 10 gold medals.
Are you worried that you'll fail?
Fail? There is no failure. There's no failing in running. I can't figure out what the one that I missed might have been the triple jump. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah. That was entered into a film festival, right? Soon after that.
Film finished second among other entries in the short film.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Thank you.
Now, just a few years ago, you had a cancer scare where you had a bleak prognosis. Could you tell us more about that?
Well, it lasted 9 years. Every month I went to Sloan Kettering, and finally, after 8 years, my brother-in-law, who drove me every month for 8 years to Sloan Kettering
In Manhattan, right?
in Manhattan,
Yeah.
he moved to Pennsylvania and said, I can't be driving into New York. So we moved the treatment to Staten Island. And the doctor treated me there. And then he said, it's something strange, but the cancer isn't showing up. I want you to go up to your doctor at Sloan and see what she has to say. And she tested and said, there's no sign of the cancer, Bill.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're discontinuing. And so it's going on a year now that I haven't had any treatment for what was a cancer.
Wow. Would you say it's in remission or what?
It's gone.
Wow. So you fought it and you won the battle, basically.
I think I've won that battle.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. And in keeping with that, I have a good woman friend, Agnes Verona Aquendo.
Yeah, we know Agnes very well. She authored that book, Running from Cancer.
Right.
She survived cancer and she wanted to share with the world the idea of early detection saves lives, right?
Right.
Yeah, can you
And
tell
she
us about that?
warns people, just as I would warn people, get to a doctor and get treated if there's any signs or at any age, any indication of cancer, get to a doctor and get treated.
Yeah.
And I thank Agnes for our friendship.
Yes, I read her book, and at that time, back in Staten Island, there was no early detection program. She basically started it.
And she ran from Staten Island to Miami, Florida.
Right, that was
What a
what she wrote
great-
about in her book, yes.
What a great person.
Yeah.
So we recently had a 6-hour run, and I was honored to be the starter for that race. And I told the people there, dedicate your run for a purpose. Don't just run.
Right.
Dedicate your activity with a purpose. And if you don't have one, think of Agnes. Dedicate your run. Run against cancer.
Yeah.
Run for treatment.
Yeah, nowadays it's not just about running and competing, it's about running for a reason.
Right.
Right, yeah. Just 2 weeks ago, one of your good friends, Coach John Tobin, passed away.
Yes.
And I know he was very near and dear to you. Could you tell us more about your relationship with him?
John was the greatest man anyone could ever ask to know. He was brilliant. He was an advisor to the Chancellor of the City of New York, and yet a man who could talk to the President of the United States or to Steinbrenner, President of the Yankees, and at the same time go out for a night with me. And we had many fun times on the same basis, and travel with our tag teams, Schenectady, Florida, anywhere. And I would schedule my team to run with his team, wherever it was. I miss him dearly. and he was just the greatest guy you could ever ask for. I miss him so much.
Yeah, sorry to
great.
hear that.
Yeah,
You're outlasting a lot of your friends,
yeah,
you know, at 90 years old.
yeah. Thank you, God, for that. And if I can be an inspiration to anyone,
Yeah.
it's only God's will, not mine.
Yeah.
I have good friends.
Thank God for them. You know, that's what it comes down to, having great friends,
Yep.
you know.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome. At age 90, you're in pretty good shape for your age. What do you attribute that to?
I'd like to say good living, but I would lift a glass and it wouldn't be just water. But I have to be careful.
Something of the alcoholic nature.
Yeah, just a little, but I have to watch.
Right. What are you most proud of from your illustrious coaching career and running career?
Aside from the coaching,
Yeah.
I'm very proud of my family. Right? Coaching is great.
Yeah.
I've been very, very fortunate with the ones I've had. You know, Charlie Marsala, Steve Moore, Marty Walsh, 6 city champs, Marsala, 7 city champs, Moore throwing a shot in college, going up over 64 feet, and city champs all over, you know, just great young men who have turned out to be great young men, not just athletes. And I follow them carefully. And my family, Anna, Billy, Jimmy, great human beings, great family. My wives didn't live long enough, but great women, great people. But of course, with my sons, yes, Jim is #1 radiation man in the world. In the world.
Wow.
And Billy, teaching #1 professor, San Diego State, astrophysics. Great teacher, great honors. Anna, just great in what she does with computers and athletic equipment sales.
Yeah. I being a father myself, I have two teens, and I know the feeling of being proud of your children.
Yeah.
Tell us a story about one of your children. He's connected with NASA, and they sent like a robot or a probe onto Mars.
Yeah.
And tell us what the robot did.
Well, the robot landed in Mars and did some etchings, and on one of the sides of a cliff on Mars happened to etch the word WELSH. Just happens to spell out our family name.
Amazing.
Welsh.
Amazing. So you're known up in Mars now.
Yeah. By whatever living creatures are there.
Right.
And that's microscopic.
Yes. If we can prove it. Yeah.
I'll have to send a camera.
That's right. That's right. Did you get a picture of that?
I don't think so. But
They should get a picture of it so we could see it, you know?
I don't have a camera that good.
Do you have any regrets about anything in your life? Any regrets?
I'd have to think a while. And I have to live alone.
Oh, you still have a lot more living to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, 10 more years, we'll be approaching the triple digits.
I'm trying to think of the man's name. Chesterton?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he said 100 is a good target.
Didn't you tell me that when you were a kid, you worked with golfers?
Oh, yes.
You were a caddy.
I was a caddy.
Remember you told me you did have one regret, that you made some good money?
Oh, I made more money than my father, and he was a police officer. But I caddied and got $5 a bag, so I carried 2 bags, made $10 on a weekend. And that was 2 weekends, and I had more money than my father.
Amazing.
Or a serviceman who only made $20, $21 a month.
Wow. What year was that?
Oh, that was 1947, 46, 47.
1940s, making $10 on the weekend for a kid.
Yeah.
That was good money back then, right?
My father,
Better than your father's income,
yeah,
right?
my father made me pay rent. Sure, I learned the value of $1.
Yeah. Think about your whole coaching and running career, I want you to think about who inspires you, who has inspired you all these years.
Mike Dwyer. Mike Dwyer was a very great runner, was picked for the 1920 Olympics along with the marathoner Eddie White. They were outstanding men and people on Staten Island, picked for the Olympic team by a committee and overruled by a coach who liked guys from New England.
New England.
So it was a crime. But Mike Dwyer coached 9 city championship cross-country teams at Curtis as a volunteer.
Wow.
So just a great man. And he influenced me so much.
Yeah.
And if we came to a turn, he would say, hey, go ahead. This is not Alphonse Gaston. You come to a turn, you go. And I thought, what a great man to accept the fact that I, as a kid, should go ahead of an older person.
Yeah.
But a competitive sport, you're supposed to try and go ahead.
Right.
And that was the influence.
That's great.
He was a great man.
You knew Lou Marley, right?
Oh, Marley.
Tell us about Lou, your relationship with Lou.
Lou was sensational. If I went in his store, he'd give me a quart of ice cream to take home to the kids. And Dan Doherty and myself, a great age group runner. His kids went to Farrell, but I still loved them. He and I would write out a check for like maybe $10 and give it to Lou. He never cashed them. Years later, his son would give us these checks, say he found them in the garage. But he sponsored races, and it was always
He still does.
Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
For the Lou Marley run.
He still does to this day, the Lou Marley races. Yep.
Just a great, great man, and a great influence to this day.
And he was a pharmacist on
on
Staten
the
Island?
corner of Beeman and Forest Avenue.
And
Wonderful man.
how many years was that is that race series going on now for?
Yeah,
How many years would you say?
Oh, since 1940s, 1950.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well over 60 years.
yeah.
And still going strong.
That and the Mucci Struck Run.
Yes.
Those are 2 races I try and take part in.
Was Mucci Struck a person?
No, two men.
Two men. Tell us about
who
that.
Volunteered at the races to be officials. And they would be officials since 1947.
So that race has been around since
that's
then.
when they passed away.
And that race is still going strong.
It's still going on. Tommy Hart puts them on.
I know Staten Island has a small...
Veterans Day.
Yes.
That's
right.
Mucci Struck.
Still going strong.
Yeah.
I know Staten Island has a smaller running community compared to like Brooklyn and other boroughs, but it has a very robust one. Yeah. And very dedicated runners who stick with these races and make sure that these races go on in those men's honor, you know.
And that's Staten Island Athletic Club.
Yep. That's
and
my club.
Staten Island Track.
Yep.
That does it.
Yeah. Sidetrack, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, you're at the age, and you're so well known throughout the Staten Island running community, as I said in my intro, that they recently made a race with your name in it. I see the medal on your shirt. The Bill Welsh 5K run. Nice picture there of you. Tell us about the last time you ran your own race.
Yeah, I ran. I couldn't win it. I got third. Yeah, they say they're going to have another one about 10 years from now. So I got to hang around to see it.
That's right.
So they have them in honor of others.
Yeah.
Like maybe the Vinnie Hutton or you know, and it's a great idea. And we look for people to honor and put it on
Yes.
through Staten Island Track and Field.
Yeah. I know you're a bit of a jokester, and you like to pull tricks on people too. Tell us, we have a common friend named Mario Rica Jr.
Yeah.
Tell us that story you told me earlier about when you just first met him and what you did to him.
Mario had just finished a 5-miler over in New Jersey, and I was there for a fish dinner, and he's wearing a New York Phys Ed t-shirt. And I asked him, you go to Noodle? He said, yes. I said, well, why aren't you on the track team? And he asked, did I think he could make it? I said, I think so. Show up at the phys ed office,
Yeah.
and I'll introduce you to the coach. So that Monday, after the race,
Little did he know that you were the coach.
he had no idea who
Okay,
the coach
yeah,
was.
yeah.
So I let him stand around for about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And I went out of the office and I said, Mario, I don't see the coach around. But I'll tell you what, wait here and I'll see if I can look for him. I went back in the office and I finally, a couple minutes later, came out and said, Mario, I have to tell you, I'm the coach. Now go and see if you can find anybody else that would be like to be on the team.
Yeah.
Because I can use you and maybe a few others. And from that point on, he was on the team. And now, almost to this day,
Yeah.
he's been president of the Staten Island track
Well,
team.
he's been Masters captain, yeah,
Yeah.
for many years, yeah.
And
Pretty good at it too.
he was good, and he did many good deeds for my track team at Noodle during those years, and Staten Island track.
Yeah. That was a great strategy to get him to join your track team.
Yeah,
I'm sure you use all kinds of other tricks to get the other runners to join too, right?
well, there were times we didn't have a field, and I had to ask George Kochman
Yeah,
to let us use Farrell track.
right.
And right now, George is suffering. He had fallen in a race this past weekend.
Yeah, I just found out about that,
And
yeah.
he's in a hospital, so I would ask for prayers for George. He's been a tough competitor, and he's done a lot for the island, especially with his articles in the Advance, letting us know calendar every month where
Yes.
there are races and what we can do with running columns,
Yeah.
like Jeff Benjamin
Right,
with his columns.
yeah.
So we're grateful for the Advance. Otherwise, we'd be lost in not finding places to run.
I know. I know there used to be a lot more coverage in the local news for Staten Island races, but other sports have taken over the years, you know, football, baseball, soccer, and the running coverage has shrunken big time.
Yeah, it hurts.
I know, it hurts the running community because then runners don't know, you know, what's going on in the community, the running community, you know, regarding events and stuff. You still work out, like on a regular basis?
Well, it's a walk. My walk is a quadrangle.
Quadrangle? What is that?
Well, I go up the street from my house, which is called Alpine. I make believe I'm in the Alps. And I go
Parts
across.
of Staten Island is very hilly.
I go across, so that's up a hill. I go across a short distance of Grand Avenue, and I come down of all Sunnyside Terrace and across Elm Place where I live.
Uh-huh.
So it's a long rectangle. And if I do that, I've got a quarter of a mile. So I do 4 of them,
And it has hills in it?
and I've got,
Wow.
I've got 4 of those, and I've got a mile. And I do that, I try and do that at least twice a day. And I get 2 miles in.
Wow.
If I don't do that, I do a separate one, which will take me out from my house to Victory Boulevard and Clove Road. And I go visit my drugstore, and I get the newspapers.
I see.
But I get the newspapers every day, and I read the newspaper every night. I read a column in the Wall Street Journal about books and what books are out
Yeah.
and what. So I try and keep literate.
Yeah, so you read the Wall Street Journal daily, and you...
Just the book column, not finance,
Okay.
but what a good book to read is all about.
Right, recommendations.
Yeah.
Right. So you exercise your
left
brain
of
and
it?
you exercise your body every day.
Yep.
That might be the secret to your longevity. You heard it here first, people. Yeah,
Just-
you should write a book about longevity.
Just old enough to annoy enough people. And they're all younger.
You have a great sense of humor. Just on our car ride up here from Brooklyn, you know, you still have your wit. You know, you were making up jokes on the spot.
Sewing. They call me a nitwit.
Sewing, nitwit, got it. How has Staten Island changed? I know the Verrazano Bridge, what was that, built in the late 60s?
Yeah.
It was opened up over 40 years ago.
Just from Wagner College, that area, from Wagner College to Richmond Road was all woods and field. And I could look out the back of my house, the window, and see a ski jump
Wow.
in 1930s. Let's say 38,
They had ski jumps in Staten Island?
38, 39. People came from Sweden, Finland, Norway, Europe,
Yeah.
and they ski jumped internationally. And then Hitler invaded Poland and started his war, and they couldn't come in from Europe. So it was closed.
Wow.
And the expressway went right through that area. So the ski jump came down.
Wow.
But I could look and see the ski jump. It was great.
I'm not learning just about your history. I'm learning about the history of Staten Island.
Across the street from my house, we have people that were born in Norway, people that were born in Sweden, have people born in Germany. The FBI came and checked out the guy with a shortwave radio who came from Germany. And the Norwegian people wanted to know why I was talking to the Swedish people. It was a little ununited nations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of Europeans came in,
And the soldiers' driving range was there, and I would be up at the top, and I'd hit the golf balls back at the people paying to hit golf balls up towards Wagner. It was
Wow.
a field. Joe Soldiers' driving range.
Oh, soldiers used to hit the balls there?
Yeah,
Oh, from
My father
from
would
World War
not.
II, or
yeah.
were you a soldier at any time?
No, I failed the Army physical.
Ah,
The day after I won the Nationals, 49 minutes for 15 kilometers, 9 1/3, I took the Army physical. I had a pulse of 40. They put me on a cot. My pulse went down to 34. Big red crayon. You have a bad heart.
wow. So you couldn't join the army because of a bad heart.
I asked the priest, do I have to tell them? Tell them what? That I won the national championships. My heart's in better shape than anybody in the Army. He said, you gotta be kidding. You don't have to tell anybody anything. I tried to volunteer.
Yeah.
He said, no, you're rated 4F. You failed that physical. You can't join anything. I want to go to the FBI. They said, you have to get a lawyer's degree. That meant I had to go to college again. I said, forget it.
Yeah,
So I got a master's up at Wagner, became a teacher.
I see. So most of your career was a teacher.
Yeah.
And what kind of teacher?
Good teaching. I taught history.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, history is one of the most difficult things to teach, to bring to life. Tell us about your experience being a history teacher.
It was good. I got across to the kids. You know,
That's
they were
good.
good kids because I was in the Augustinian Academy
Yeah.
for 4 years. Then I went to Port Richmond and public school 11. Had good kids,
Yeah.
real good kids, and through the running team. But once I saw they weren't doing their homework, I swung over to phys ed, which was my downfall, because I only got 2 years seniority, and that didn't work. I wound up going to boys' high, and that was very tough.
Boys' high.
Traveling,
Yeah,
and only 2 years seniority.
I see.
So it took the football coach to retire for me to get back into Newdorp. Once I was back in, phys ed worked out okay. Then I retired after I had, age 60.
60, what was that, over 20 years, 30 years in teaching?
Yeah.
If you went back in time and you could choose any career you wanted, think about any career you'd want. What career path would you take?
Oh, I would have been phys ed teacher right from the start.
Oh, yeah? Uh-huh.
Especially since they give out money.
Who gave that money?
Well, for running,
Oh, yeah. Oh, scholarships?
sure.
I see.
I think in terms of Frank Shorter,
Yeah.
oh, that's part of being with Tobin down in Gainesville and getting marshmallows and throwing them to the gators.
Frank Shorter,
I said,
yeah?
Yeah, and saying, what's that? He said, well, when the gators come for the marshmallows, we sprint like hell.
Oh, that was their training method, right? Having alligators chase them. It was a great honor for me to spend the time with you, interviewing you for today's episode. I'd like to give my thanks to Manhattan Neighborhood Network and Will Sanchez for hosting us, and to today's special guest, Bill Welsh. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Josh.
So we're going to go out to have a beer together now or something, maybe?
I want to thank Josh Pesin for this interview. It's been fun. We've had a good time going over my past and all the friends, all the athletes, all the good and all the bad. And there's a lot more bad to go over in the future. I hope I hang around for another 10 years. As Chesterton said, there's something to aim for, and I gotta run.
I just had an awesome interview with Bill Welsh, running legend from the Staten Island running community. I'm looking forward to seeing the final version. And if you want to look up what I'm doing in my life lately, you can go to pesinworld.com. And now I gotta run.